Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to bring up the topic of hyper responsibility. And some of you may not even know, like, what is hyper responsibility? Okay, because that could actually be a toxic part of your behaviors and your cognitive thinking that is actually, causing you to end up in unfavorable situations and things that aren't in your best interest, of course. So let's just think about that. Hyper and responsibility. So we know when something is hyper, is all over something. So this person has an inflated sense of being responsible for things that they actually don't need to be responsible for. It's overextending responsibility for people, places, and things in your life. Okay? So we're going to talk about that today, guys. Because often we are overly invested, we are compulsive about it. And when it's hyper responsibility, that's when we got the compulsiveness. All right. But I want you to see where this isn't a good thing in your life. And I think a lot of you can see that in hindsight now, but it's all about really fully acknowledging it and then making that shift. All right. Because hyper responsibility is actually makes you an enabler at that point. Because if you are picking up pieces that other people should be picking up, it's enabling them to continue and perpetuate the behavior. All right. And it's also actually burdening yourself and overwhelming yourself and exhausting your energy as you be hyper about picking up these responsibilities, guys. All right. Now, you'll know if you're this kind of person, if you're just used to being the fixer, used to being the sacrificial lamb, if you feel like you're trying to avoid pain in a situation, or you want to still feel accepted and loved. So you're the person that's always bridging the gap, taking accountability for the situation. And maybe it's something that started back in your childhood where you feel like you were groomed, you were put in positions where you had to not be a child. You had to grow up fast. You were just used to like picking up the pieces, and maybe you had sick parents, or you had came from a big family where you had to take care of children all the time, or there was just situations that you were put in where you had to look at things as much as you could through the lens of an adult versus being your age and being in a child's place. And that may have put you in a pattern of being used to picking up these pieces. So you know how some person that just doesn't know how to be still, like you don't know how to not step up to the plate for every little thing and feel like you need to rescue things. But once we get into the level of hyper responsibility, this person almost want to feel like they need to save the world, and they're severely overgiving, over extending themselves. Okay. And like I said, underlining in that is going to be some toxicity, guys, that need to address, because this person most likely has low self-esteem. Actually, I wanted to point that out as far as an underlining issue there. Low self-esteem. And the wrong perception as far as believing that you have more control and authority than you actually have. All right. As far as your external environment anyway, because that's usually where the problem occurs. I'm looking for something really quick here that I wanted to mention. So thanks for bearing with me. I don't see it. But I also wanted to point out, guys, that there could be rejection and abandonment issues brewing somewhere in here. And, it's important to understand that we're allowing other people to escape, like their portion, the blame that they should be carrying, or the amending that they could be doing for you is being escaped because you're taking the responsibility. All right. I think that I have my notes here. So either way, something called CBT. I'm just going off my head here because I was trying to find the notes that I've written somewhere else on this. CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, is something that has been known to be, successful at helping to resolve this. And when we're talking about on a cognitive level, it's basically us challenging, our thoughts and perceptions on why is it that we need to be stepping forward to take responsibility for this or that. It's basically having some type of mindfulness behind our actions. We're thinking before we're acting. We're getting into our logic versus our emotions, okay? And perhaps I'm going to say here, this is just my insight on it. The person with the hyper responsibility, aiming and looking or seeking to get their emotional needs met this way. And we find that a lot in codependency. This kind of runs into codependency right there. And I've made a video on that where I said that a lot of times codependents make themselves needed to feel wanted. Okay. So that's just something that I definitely wanted to intercept here. Yeah, I'm still looking for the paper, guys, because there were like a couple of really good solid points, and I don't want to have to re-edit this, guys, so I'm just going to let this roll for now. All right. But what I could say is, if you're having a problem with this and you're unable to just have that mental shift that needs to occur, I definitely recommend that you get some therapy for that. You could start with me. That's your choice. I do offer that one-on-one service on my website. If you go to lakiacrawford.com, you can, book your session with me, and we can, peel back these layers of the onion and really get to the bottom of that shadow work for yourself, okay? I think I left it upstairs on my desk. Yeah. So, I also want to point out, guys, that when you are in this energy, you are more than likely going to be attracted to people who allow you to be responsible. That's something else that, will go along with that. So it could actually help bridge the gap and make it logical to, okay, why did I end up with this irresponsible narcissist that didn't want to take accountability for anything? Oh, because it feeds into my hypersensitivity, my hyper responsibility, or, my need to be responsible for things. So you see how these energies complement each other? But when you get out of that energy of needing to be responsible, suddenly you want that narcissist to be responsible, and then suddenly they're ghosting, they're leaving, they're discarding, or you're discarding, or the relationship is dissolving because the compatibility of the energy is not there. So, if we're able to attack what made that energy compatible to us to begin with, and suddenly, narcissists aren't compatible with us anymore, and it's helping us to, escape that, right? So beyond low self-esteem, guys, there's also an element of guilt that tends to be there. And perhaps this is stemming from a childhood where you were made to feel guilty when you tried to just, look out for yourself, or if you said you were tired, or, if you weren't being the sacrificial lamb, perhaps there was an element of a shaming and guilt that was placed on you. So, that could make a person become perpetual, like I said, in taking these responsibilities. So, you know, just something to really think about at the core of this, the low self-esteem and the guilt and shame, guilt and shame, you know, because I want to differentiate that. And I've made a video on shame, and a lot of people don't know that they have an issue with that. And I highly recommend that you watch it. You may be surprised to know that that is a part of, you know, what kept you in a toxic situation, or, you know, it's an element of something that needs to be worked on in your life. But yes, shame is saying, you know, I'm a bad person. And guilt is feeling bad for something that you've done. So, or not done. Okay, so in this case, when we're talking about responsibility, guilt, you know, is definitely going to be the best word to use here in this case. All right. Thinking you're a bad person if you don't do this or that. Okay. But, you know, like I said, the good news is if you've been groomed or trained or, you know, primed to be in this position, you can actually have a mental shift. You can retrain your subconscious, which of course will lead to your conscious, which then of course will lead to your behaviors in a way that you live your life and you go about your connections moving forward. All right. And like I said, you know, get that professional help. You don't have to go at things alone. And YouTube videos are not the end all be all. They're very helpful, you know, and I thank God for the platform to be able to share the information. But most of the time, you know, that one-on-one private is going to be your milk and honey, or, you know, the best is going to take you to another level for sure. All right. So, you know, I'm happy today that we were able to just, you know, at least begin this conversation on hyper responsibility. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who had the experience with narcissistic abuse and they were constantly taking responsibility, chronically so. So if that's the case, you know, that puts you in that position of the hyper responsibility. And we have to start, you know, nipping that in the bud with the CBT, or the cognitive behavioral therapy, is highly recommended. All right. So with that being said, guys, if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have not done so, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Over 600 videos here to help you increase your emotional maturity or your emotional intelligence. Okay. I have a support group, guys, over on Facebook. The link is below in the description. Always look below in the descriptions of my videos. There's always a lot of content there and information for you. Okay. The website, my website, lakiacrawford.com, where you can schedule your appointment, find out about my books and other products. The link to the support group for survivors of narcissistic abuse. You find out about my Patreon, which is the monthly membership for those who want to support the work that I do. And just anything that I have going on. Always feel free to check the description, all right? And with that being said, guys, you have to get clear on what you're responsible for and what you're not in life. Because, you know, you just end up off balance when you don't. All right, so that's why this is necessary. You overburden yourself, which causes more anxiety, more stress. So you see where this is going. All right, and so that's why we have to, you know how to balance these things. All right, and not be hyper responsible about anything. All right, but ourselves. Okay, we need to be hyper responsible there. How about that? But, you know, this is like an external thing. You know, they're just. And that's the other thing, you know, when you're just so externally focused and you're picking up this for that person, you're there for that person, what do you have left for yourself? You know, that's the issue right there. What do you have left for yourself, guys? All right. And with that being said, you see how I just inserted that at the end, because, you know, I'm not reading from a prompter, guys. So when you watch my videos, and even if I start making closing statements, like I start talking about the website and the sessions and the support group, you never know what pearls, because I'm a vessel and things flow through me as well. And, you know, God might whisper in my ear, remind me, oh, mention that, get that in, squeeze that in. And I'll mention that because I'm a vessel to be flowed through as well. So it's always important, guys, to watch my videos to the end, because you just never know what's going to come out once you think the video is over, because I'll start mentioning, you know, if you want a session with me, blah, 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 I'll start going through that, and then something will dawn on me, and I don't want you guys to miss any of the gravy, okay? So when you're watching my videos, see it all the way through, because like I said, there's times when I intercept or I'll have some afterthoughts or something to dawn on me, and I'm glad it does, you know, because it helps my editing, you know, not later like, oh, I wish I would have mentioned this, you know. So watch to the end, guys. Always watch to the end. All right. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in, and to those of you who do watch to the end. All right. Hit that like button, comment. It pushes everything out in the YouTube algorithm here, which means that more people get to see the content and get to find out about the channel. That's more people that's going to get healing and learn about narcissistic abuse, and, you know, just spreading awareness here. Each one teach one, right? So thank you guys for tuning in today. Thank you for all the support that you show the channel. And what do I say at the end of all of my videos? Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work. And until next time.